Alright, what's going on, everybody? This video is in response to Ryan's vinyl record collection video, and I sat through 26 minutes of Ryan talking about his records, so I think Ryan owes it to me to sit through this video, because I'm going to talk about my CD collection. The background, just like he got his Beatles playing or whatever, I have Motley Crue playing. It's Too Fast for Love, the album. I'm gonna go from oldest to the newest of the CDs I have. So to start with real old, work my way up through every CD and band I have. So yeah. So let's start. What's the oldest album I have? Hang on a second here. Oh man, where is it? Alright. Not quite sure. This is the oldest album I have, but I think it might be. This is Sabbath, Paranoid. This album came out in 1970. Second album of the year that year. Yeah, Black Sabbath came out with this after their self-titled album. Some amazing songs from it. I mean, you've heard Paranoid, title track, on the radio 3 million times, but that's probably the worst song on the album. Seriously, when you listen to this, skip over Paranoid because you've heard it a million times. According to Dom, it's his favorite song, but okay. Okay, some good songs are War Pigs, Planet Caravan. You've heard Iron Man a million times. Electric Funeral. That song's like that to me. That's okay. Hand of Doom is probably my favorite, if not my second favorite. Rat Salad is a Tony Iommi instrumental. Jack the Stripper and Fairies Wear Boots. The 8th track on the album is really good. That's either my favorite or Hand of Doom. But anyway, see this album, pick it up. It's definitely a must buy. Whether you care for anything that Black Sabbath does besides this. This is everything. This is all their big hits. Just tell me one thing: don't listen to Paranoid. I mean, don't just listen to Paranoid. I mean, I don't care if you do listen to Paranoid. That'd be the dumbest thing if you just got this album and just listen to Paranoid. It's idiot. Okay, moving on. Second oldest. Is probably, this came out, so Paranoid came out in 1970, this came out in 1972. It's Black Sabbath Volume 4. Yeah, I bought this over this past winter, and I don't know, it's one of my least favorite of my CDs. I don't listen to it all that much. It's got some good songs on it though, but you gotta be in the mood for them. Tomorrow's Dream is my favorite, along with Changes. Snowblind's good. Super Not. Cornucopia, Laguna Sunrise. Yeah, everything else is also good songs, but I've only listened to it a few times. I mean, besides Tomorrow's Dream and Changes, I don't know this album all that well. Just kind of like picked it up. Anyway, 1972, Volume 4, Black Sabbath. Second oldest. Alright, continuing. Alright, this album right here is not Sabbath. It's a southern rock band. And this is definitely not their best album, but their probably second best album behind Eliminator, because this is ZZ Top, Tres Hombres. Came out in 1973. Some highlights are Jesus Just Left Chicago, which is a amazing blues tune. Beer Drinkers and Hellraisers is just fun in general. Hot Blue and Righteous, that's like me and Corey's tune. And LaGrange is definitely a radio staple from this album. But yeah, it's a very good album, so check it out. Alright, moving on from 73 to be this album came out in 1974. Sure, this is the American release of AC/DC High Voltage, but that came out in 1976 with like song changes. That wasn't the original Australian version, but AC/DC did release their original High Voltage in 74 with multiple different artists like on the album for some reason, like people playing the drums that weren't even part of the band and like playing like bassoon and like the bass. But anyway, after High Voltage, things got like serious with AC/DC. They got rid of all those weird people playing like the drums and the bassoon. But anyway, this is definitely not their best album, but a lot of radio staples from here. TNT, It's a Long Way to the Top if you want to rock and roll. The Jack, Live Wires, I used to think it was a good song, but I prefer Motley Crue Live Wire now. High Voltage is a good song, but I prefer singing Brian Johnson, to be honest. Like the Downington version, when he sings it live, it's just awesome. She's Got Balls, it's a really good song. Rock and Roll Singer. Jack is obviously a classic. Can I Sit Next to You Girl, which was one of the oldest tunes, even like before any of these others were written. Little Lover, not my favorite. It's alright. I like the chorus, but that's about it. But anyway, if you're into AC/DC, I wouldn't say this is a must get, but this is obviously their debut album, so if you want to have like a start off point, get this album. Not Back in Black. Alright. Now what comes next? Alright, this album came out in 1976, and it's another AC/DC album. Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. This album, in my opinion, is a way bigger step up from High Voltage. It's like, High Voltage had a lot of filler and had decent songs on it, but like I said, if you look it up on the internet, anywhere it can say it's like, says a bunch of random artists are on the albums. People you never heard of, people that are not in AC/DC. They're on the album playing the drums and some like string instruments and bass, whatever. This is when AC/DC cleaned up. They got the band together, and they wrote these 9 new songs, and it's probably miles better than High Voltage, to be honest. Dirty Deeds, the title track, very good song, radio staple. Definitely one of the best songs on here. Love at First Feels, track 2. That's It's probably written by Bon Scott to like just be thrown on the album, pretty much filler. Big Balls, everyone knows that song. Rocker, which is one of my personal favorites by AC/DC. I don't know, I still stand by my top 20 AC/DC songs on Fox 20 Network, so Rocker's on there at 14 or something. Problem Child, decent. There's gonna be some rockin', that's decent. Again, those two songs are better than anything on High Voltage. I mean, besides like the Jack and TNT. This next song, track 7, Ain't No Fun Waiting Around to Be a Millionaire, is an amazing song. It's like 7 to 8 minutes. And tells like the story of sort of like a poor guy. But yeah, he's trying to just make money to live. Very good song. Even if you don't get the album, check out that song on, I don't know, YouTube or whatever. Ain't No Fun by AC/DC. Track 8, Right On. One of AC/DC's most meaningful songs. And 9 Squealer, which is alright. Anyway, 1976. Dirty Deeds. And by the way, none of these are like the original, so I wouldn't say, definitely not this next album that I'm going to show you is the original, because it cut out songs. And this is AC/DC, Let There Be Rock. Came out in 1977. Yeah. This album, from start to finish, is a powerhouse. It is amazing. I'm looking at all the tracks. There's 8 songs on this. This is the only problem I would have, which there's almost no problem that I have with this album. The one problem I do have is that they took out Tragedy in Blue, which is a really good song, and they put on Problem Child, which was already on Dirty Deeds. That's gonna like haunt me to my grave. And then there's another problem with the next album, the 1978 Power Age. They took out a song and put on another song, but they took out a song and left it. So it went from 10 tracks to 9 tracks on Power Age. But from start to finish, great song. Only problem is Problem Child should not be on there. So I'm Dirty Deeds. Alright, moving on to 1978. The world had a refreshing change of pace when this band came into the music business with their roaring debut, Van Halen 1. This is an amazing record. And start to finish, it's amazing. Every song is like great guitar work by Eddie Van Halen. Love the lyrics, love the singing. It's just great all around. And you probably already heard like half the songs on the radio constantly, but it's one of those albums that deserves to be played on the radio constantly. So Van Halen 1, if you don't have it, definitely get that. 1978 also brought us AC/DC Power Age. Like I said, it had 10 songs, with the song Cold Hearted Man being the song that they took out when it was transferred to the US version. And I own the US version right here. And I also have a vinyl version of this album, and it's also the US version. It was probably bought by my parents in the US. So yeah, they cut out Cold Hearted Man, which is dumb. It never got a chance to get out until AC/DC's 2009 Backtracks album. So that is really dumb. It really bothers me. Alright, moving on to 79. AC/DC Highway to Hell. This is probably my favorite album by them. Every song on it is amazing. By this album. This album and Let There Be Rock and Power Age are must-buys. So if you don't have it, get it. Whether on any platform, just not cassette. Don't get cassette. Piece of crap. Anyway, I would help. 1979. That year also brought Van Halen 2 in 79. Van Halen 2 is a very fun album, and they kind of shot it out at the record company to follow up VH1's success. So this is Van Halen 2, and it's got Dance the Night Away on it, which you've probably heard a million times on the radio, but it's a very good song. Somebody Get Me a Doctor is probably one of my favorite. Bottoms Up is, if not my favorite on this album, but one of my favorites definitely. Out of Love Again. There's just so much like feel to these songs. When you listen to Van Halen, it's like you're on top of the world every time you listen to it. So I just in general recommend just getting a Van Halen album, or all of them. In 1980, brought some of the best albums in the world. AC/DC Back in Black. After Bon Scott's death in 1980, in February, they brought in Brian Johnson, ex-Geordie singer, and he wrote all these amazing songs. Well, co-wrote, and it's just amazing. Every single one of these songs is amazing. This is definitely a must-buy album. Back in Black. You probably heard half the songs on the radio, so I ain't gotta quit talking about it. 1980, Motorhead, Ace of Spades. I got into the band Motorhead last summer with one of the most notorious frontmen ever, Lemmy. The song Love Me Like a Reptile, the title track, Shoot You in the Back, Fast and Loose, The Road Crew, Bite the Bullet, The Chase is Better Than the Catch are just some of the most amazing songs in this album. It's really a bang for your buck because there's 15 tracks on the bonus track version. The original had 12 tracks, but I'd rather have more songs, more bang for the buck. 1980 also brought Van Halen's third album, Women and Children First. Some say this is their best album ever, and I don't know if I agree with that, but it's definitely one of their best. It's definitely up there, more than Van Halen 3, definitely. Some of the best songs are Everybody Wants Some, which may or may not be my favorite of their songs in general. And The Great Deal of Rock is okay, it's decent. Take Your Whiskey Home is awesome. Loss of Control. I've heard all these songs a million times, so I'm just gonna stop talking about it before I lose my head. But yeah, Women and Children First. Some say it's their best. I don't know if I'd go that far. Alright, I think that's all I have for 1980. Wait, is it? No, it is not. That is not all I have for 1980. Alright, this album right here. Ozzy, Wizard of Oz. Wow. The CD likes to fall out because the case is not together right. But yeah, very good album. You've heard Crazy Train, Mr. Crowley on the radio. Anyway, I'm gonna stop talking about it. 1980, Wizard of Oz, debut album, Randy Rhoads on guitar, amazing. (1981) brought the what came next, the follow-up to Back in Black, AC/DC's For Those About to Rock, and it has one of the coolest liners. It's amazing. Love this album too. There's a ton of good songs on it. It has some songs like Breaking the Rules and Spellbound and Night of the Long Knives that took me a little while to get into, but I eventually got into them. (1981) 1981 brought one of Van Halen's masterpieces, Fair Warning. You've hear about it later on the radio in Unchained. It's one of Van Halen's darkest albums. If not their darkest album, probably is their darkest album. Because all they do is light stuff. Anyway, Fair Warning. It's not a must-buy, but I think the guitar work on Mean Street and the lyrics of Dirty Movies speaks for itself. I could find a CD here. It's right in front of my face. 1981 brought the debut of a band I just saw live last night, and Motley Crue. They're amazing live, let's just say that. Anyway, this is Too Fast for Love. One of their best albums. Right now it's playing, Starry Eyes is on. Anyway, I was playing it this whole video so far, but anyway, I bought it, and with this Crucial Crew edition, I guess they made in like the 2000s, you get like a bunch of unreleased songs and bonus tracks. So I think there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bonus tracks on here, including one live song. Anyway, it's a really good album. That's one of the albums that I'd say get by Motley Crue, because it's that, Shout the Devil, and Dr. Feelgood. That's probably the 3 I'd say get. Alright, moving on. 1981. It's about the follow-up to Black Sabbath's Heaven and Hell, which is a very good album, probably the best, like, guitar work by Tony Iommi in my opinion. 1981 brought Mob Rules. I have it here on CD. Brian James Dio is the singer, and this is his last album. Well, no, never mind. Don't listen to what I just said. He sings on Live Evil, which is a live album that came out the next year. And then, in 1992, he's on Dehumanizer by Sabbath. I'm pretty sure that's it. Besides, like, Dio years, the greatest hits album. Anyway, Mob Rules. Very good songs on here are Turn Up the Night, Voodoo, Mob Rules, Country Girl, Slipping Away, Over and Over, Sign of the Southern Cross, and Falling Off the Edge of the World. It's a pretty beast album, so I'd say if you're going to pick out Mob Rules and Heaven and Hell, get Heaven and Hell. But I've had a few chances to get Heaven and Hell, just haven't got it yet. I want it. Anyway, I have every song on there on my iPod, but I want the CD. When did this go? Alright, this is 1982, Iron Maiden's best album, Number of the Beast. I could point out a few songs, but in my opinion, from start to finish, this album is brilliant. Total Eclipse, track 8, might just be my favorite on this album. Children of the Damned, 22 Acacia Avenue, The Number of the Beast, the title track, Run to the Hills, Hallowed Be Thy Name. Yeah, that's pretty much it. The Prisoner's good too. But yeah, check it out. I'd say if you're gonna go Iron Maiden, go Number of the Beast. Or Peace of Mind. Or Power Slave. 1984 album. So we're on 82. Van Halen brought out Diver Down. Oh, they played this last night. Oh, sweet. Too Fast for Love. Van Halen brought Diver Down, and it's definitely a break in the creative cycle within the band, because there's 5 covers on here. 2 songs are like intros to the other song. There's like 2 instrumentals. There's 12 songs in total, but the originals that are on here that Van Halen the band wrote are like some of their grooviest songs, like The Full Bug, track 11. That's an original written by them. It's amazing. It's probably one of my favorite. Not probably. It is one of my favorites. The cover to the very famous cover for "Oh Pretty Woman" by Roy Orbison is on here, and you be the judge of that, I guess. That's what I could say. Little Guitars is another original, very good song. Secrets, very good song. Hang 'Em High is pretty good. Where Have All the Good Times Gone is a Kinks cover, but it's pretty good. 1982, Diver Down. I mean, some people say, why with all the covers, and they don't like the album, but I accept the covers and the instrumentals. I mean, I don't really listen to the instrumentals that much, but I listen to the originals, I listen to the covers, and I think it's a decent album. I mean, you be the judge, but definitely not in their best albums, but I think The Full Bug and Little Guitars are really good songs, so. Hold on, 1 second. Alright, moving on to 1983. Yeah. One album I do want from 1983 that came out is by Dio, the band Holy Diver, the debut. It's probably their best album. Anyway, what I do have here is Flick of the Switch by AC/DC. Top to bottom, great album. Not gonna go on much more than that. They played this last night too. It's called On With The Show by Motley Crue. Flick of the Switch, 1983. This is actually one of the only years from the early 80s that Van Halen didn't release an album. Like, I know you're saying, thank God, I don't have to go through that, but whatever. Now we're back to Motley Crue. They released Shout at the Devil that year. A radio staple. And on the album, it has a ton of hidden gems, like the song Bastard, Looks That Kill, Red Hot is pretty good. Knock 'Em Dead Kid is one that you'll never hear if you don't buy the album, but it's amazing. 10 Seconds to Love is pretty known, but it's good. Danger is pretty good. But the ones that I said are amazing. That is the reason why you would buy this album. Like I said, buy Too Fast for Love and buy Shout the Devil. Dr. Feelgood is another good one. But those are the two main ones. I don't have Dr. Feelgood, but I would say get those. Alright, moving on. This came out in 1983. It's Metallica, Kill 'Em All. You probably only know, as a random music goer, one song from this album, and it's because it's on the radio all the time. Seek and Destroy came out on this album, but get the album because I think there's 10 songs here. Well, I wouldn't call it 10 songs. There's 10 tracks on this album, but there's a bass solo, which is called Pulling Teeth, Anesthesia, and every song in here is like nuts. If you're into heavy metal, like at all, get this album, because this is the kind of album that you go on a killing spree and you listen to it. Hence the title, Kill 'Em All. It's an amazing album. You could tell that how ambitious they were. They weren't this ambitious on the Black Album with Enter Sandman. You could tell they were so young. They were like 19 on this album. They were so young and so ambitious to like bite into the music business that they released an album as good as this. Just get it. 1983. Pretty sure Rat, Out of the Cellar, came out that year. And I think Invasion of Your Privacy by Rat came out in 85. And I want pretty much both of those albums. Definitely Out of the Cellar more than Invasion of Your Privacy. I'm not sure if I should move on to 1984 yet. Covered Flick of the Switch. Covered Kill 'Em All. Covered Shout the Devil. Alright, I'm gonna go to 1984. Alright, and I'm gonna kick off my 1984 list with 1984 by VH. And we're getting into the unreleased tracks now. On with the show was the end of the real Too Fast for Love that was released in 1981, but now here's unreleased tracks that they recorded that year, but never released until recently. 1984 by VH is a solid album. You got the radio staple Jump, which I don't really care for that much. It's alright. Panama, I love. Top Jimmy, I love. Drop Dead Legs, I love. Hot for Teacher, I'll Wait, I love. House of Pain, I love. Girl Gone Bad is alright. But yeah, pretty much from start to finish. If you skip over 1984 and Jump, it's amazing. And this was, I think, the first Van Halen album I got. This is the album that sparked my interest in them. And now look, I got every one of their albums. 1984 brought Metallica needed to do a quick follow-up to the last album. So Metallica Ride the Lightning came. And some say that it's their best album. Some say it's better than Kill 'Em All. I don't know if I go that far, because Kill 'Em All has 10 songs. I mean, with that one instrumental. This has 8 songs. They're very, very good written songs, like musically. like the Call of Cthulhu, and the song is really underrated. Trapped Under Ice, but I love it because it's like how powerful it is. Fade to Black is well known. For Whom the Bell Tolls and Ride the Lightning. Fight Fire with Fire is a staple like among heavy metal goers. Anyway, if you like heavy metal, definitely get this one. I honestly would get this one before Kill 'Em All, because this one, it has way more well-known songs. I mean, the other one just has Seek and Destroy. Unless you want to be patient, listen through all the songs and like see what you like, because I like every single one of them. And Kill 'Em All and Ride the Lightning. So, moving on. Let's see. I think we gotta go to 1985 now. And that means nothing for Van Halen, because that's the year they broke up with David Lee Roth. Alright. 1985 brought a very underrated album by AC/DC, Fly on the Wall. And I can thank Brian and Corey for getting me this album at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's a decent album. I can see why it's underrated though, and probably deserves to be because there's so many filler songs. I mean, I think it might be because of AC/DC's laziness when it comes to writing songs, but whatever. That's the way they like it, I guess. Anyway, Fly on the Wall. Only get it if you're a big AC/DC fan. Other than that, forget it. What else do I have for 85? Damn. I don't think I have anything else from 85. Alright, I guess I'm moving on to 1986. That brought Who Made Who, which is a soundtrack album that Stephen King asked them to write Who Made Who, the song, for Maximum Overdrive, which turned out to be a horrible flop movie, and I've actually seen it. There's a lot of AC/DC songs in there. It's probably the best part of the movie. It's a very campy movie, but I mean, I like it for the AC/DC, and plus I like campy movies, so it's kind of a trade-off. You probably wouldn't like it. Just a random music goer or movie goer wouldn't like that movie, but I have the album too, so it's pretty much a bunch of old songs from their older albums with some new ones mixed in, and there's 9 tracks total. Check it out, I guess. It's nothing special. 1986, after the breakup of Van Halen, brought Eat 'Em and Smile by David Lee Roth, which was an amazing debut album of the band. Turned out to be their most successful album too. The only other one that really got attention was the 1988 album Skyscraper by them. But Van Halen went without David Lee Roth and got Sammy Hagar, the singer, and made 5150. I don't know how much better I would say 5150 is than Eat 'Em and Smile. That's like, to me, apples and oranges. Because Good Enough on this album is a really good song. Get Up is good. Why Can't This Be Love? Best of Both Worlds, 5150. Summer Nights is decent. Inside is a very fun song. The only song I don't like particularly like jump up and down about is Love Walks In, because that's like a love song. That gets a little bit too much for me. Other than that, every other song is pretty good. Why Can't This Be Love is also iffy. But stuff like Good Enough on this album is awesome. The best album opener, I don't know, not of all time. Best album opener of Sammy Hagar Van Halen, for sure. What else did they open the album with? The only other really good album opener is the 1991 album, For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge. They opened with Pound Cake. But Good Enough is probably better opener. So check that out. I wouldn't go and say check out OU812 from 1988 by them, because it's not that great. I would like to get from 1986 The Ultimate Sin by Ozzy Osbourne. That's a pretty decent album. I've heard a lot of songs on YouTube by it. Thank God for the Bomb. The Ultimate Sin title track, Shot in the Dark, which a lot of people know. Anyway, moving on to 1987, I have the most successful album of that year in my possession right now, Appetite for Destruction by GNR. It's definitely GNR's best album they will ever make. They only have 5 albums, and it took like almost 20 years to release Chinese Democracy in 2008. They went from 93 to 2008 with no album. But yeah, definitely their best album. Definitely must buy this. There's Too Fast for Love again. It's on the unreleased opening. 1987 also brought the release of Tribute by Ozzy Osbourne. This is a live album that was recorded in 1981 with, was it? I think it was 1981. Probably was, late 1981. Because guitarist Randy Rhoads died in a plane crash on 19th March 1982. And as a tribute to him, hence the title, he released this in 1987 with a interior liner notes. Have like an extremely long like messages to Randy Rhoads, like tributes and stuff, long messages. There's the band with Randy. You see Ozzy there. Anyway, very good. Ozzy sounds amazing. For some reason, I don't know. Obviously, he was doing all kinds of drugs at the time, but for some reason, sounds amazing. Yeah, it was recorded in 1981, released 87. This kind of album makes you like want to think, makes you want to pull Randy out of the grave. It's so sad that he had to die in a plane crash. So he was only 25. Like, a guy with so much talent, and you hear him on the radio on a Crazy Train. A guy with so much talent just taken from the earth just like that. But this is definitely the showcase album of Randy's talents. The other one is Diary of a Madman, which came out in 1982. I don't have that. Want it. I think that might be it for 1987. Moving on to 1988. Brought some interesting albums, like the album I Don't Have, Skyscraper by David Lee Roth. Came out that year. This album, No Rest for the Wicked by Ozzy Osbourne, brought a new guitarist. He kicked out J.G. Lee and brought in Zakk Wylde. And it turns out it was a good decision because it brought him all those hits like Mom Mom Coming Home and No More Tears, which is on No More Tears album from 92. This album came out in 1988. No Rest for the Wicked. It's amazing, to say the least. Every song on it, from start to finish, is like brilliant. This is the kind of album you listen to if you want to go like on a rampage and you need like some self-confidence, I guess. Put this in. It's an amazing album. I do not have, which I want, the 1988 album by AC/DC, Blow Up Your Video. Want that one big time. There's an unreleased track by Motley Crue called Stick to Your Guns. 88 also brought OU812 by Van Halen. The singer on this is Sammy Hagar, because they were going on 3 years now with this new singer in 88. This album was dedicated to Eddie and Alex's father who died. This is very keyboard heavy album, so it's not for like big rockers like the early Van Halen stuff with DLR is, but I like it, I guess. Cabo Wabo is a good song. Finish What You Started was a big hit on like MTV in the 80s. Sucker in a Three-Piece is a very good guitar-ridden song if you're not into the keyboard stuff. Political Blues is a cover of an old blues tune, but it's good. AFU, I was just listening to that yesterday. Black and Blue, I used to be obsessed with that song, Black and Blue, but yeah, overall it's a decent album. It's definitely not a must-buy, but definitely not a must-buy. But if you find yourself getting into Van Halen with Sammy Hagar, get this album. In 1989 brought the release of one of the best bands of that year, probably the best debut band, Skid Row. Really good heavy stuff on this album, and in my opinion they only have 2 good albums really. They have this one and their 1991 album Slave to the Grind, which I almost bought like 5 times, but I don't have it. Bottom line, every song on here is amazing. Skid Row by Skid Row, 1989 debut album, amazing. Buy it. You know what else I have? Crap, I forgot from 87. I skipped over 87, and I was thinking after I did the Ozzy tribute thing, I was thinking, was I missing something? And I was. Motley Crue, Girls, Girls, Girls came out that year. Some of the best songs are Wild Side and Girls, 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 all in the name of. Jailhouse Rock is a cover, it's live, but it's really good. Probably their best cover. Anyway, 1987, Girls, Girls, Girls. It's not a must-buy, unlike the other Motley Crue stuff I showed you, because there's a lot of filler on this album. I mean, it's almost 100% filler. I like 5 Years Dead, but like stuff like Bad Boy Boogie, Dancing on Glass, Nona, Something for Nothing, You're All I Need. A lot of filler. And they probably like, I don't know if they played it live, but they probably didn't. Just they wrote it to throw on the album, but that's what this is. Girls, Girls, Girls. I bought it for the first 2 tracks. Guess that's what I got out of it. 1990 brought AC/DC, The Razor's Edge. You know this album because of Thunderstruck. Or Thunderstruck, Money Talks. I think that's all you hear on the radio. But a lot of good songs in here. Questionable vocal work by Brian Johnson. But it's a good album to me. Very good album to me, actually. Much better than Girls, Girls, Girls. Anyway, moving on. Another is the album 1990. This album is in one of my favorite bands, and this was their debut. Alice in Chains' Facelift came out that year with the very notable song Man in the Box. One of the best album openers ever, We Die Young. Amazing record. It took me a long time to get to like some of these songs. Some of these songs like Love, Hate, Love, I Can't Remember, and Sunshine, which I'm still like that about. But yeah, Sea of Sorrow, I'm also still like that, but I like the chorus. Moving on. 1990, this is definitely not their must-buy album, but it's a very good album by them. Alice in Chains. 1991 brought this album by Van Halen, For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge, and Pound Cake is probably the best song on there, and it's probably the best song by Sammy Hagar Van Halen, or as some say, Van Hagar. Yeah, plenty of good songs on there. Right Now is a very good song. Unfortunately, it's Skippy on this CD that I got for Christmas, this past Christmas. But Man on a Mission is also awesome. Um, 1992 brought No More Tears by Ozzy, which I don't have, I want. Brought probably the best album of that year is Dirt by Alice in Chains. Amazing songs on here. I've listened to this album so many times over this past spring. I know like every lyric and every like guitar note, and it got annoying after a while, to be honest. But best album of 1992 in my opinion. Another runner-up for that year is No More Tears by Ozzy. But yeah, Dirt by Alice in Chains, must buy. Don't buy anything else by Alice in Chains in my opinion. Or Dirt or Jar of Flies. Sorry, I gotta restart it because I talked through the whole thing, I guess. Um, 1992 also brought seriously AC/DC Live 2 CD Collector's Edition. Yeah. A lot of it was recorded live at Donington in August 1991. This is that version of the Jack I was talking about, which I really like. I like the Jack in High Voltage. The version I was telling you that I like better than the Bon Scott version. But yeah, it's pretty beat up. This is the first AC/DC album I got. My dad bought it for me when I was in 4th grade. It's so beat up though. Almost as beat up as Highway to Hell. 1993 I have an album that you would not be expecting to be in a video like this. Bought this at Universal Studios. It's the Jurassic Park soundtrack. I really like the movie, obviously. It's one of my childhood favorites. So, I bought the album. I could just like listen to all three of the movie soundtracks like any day. It reminds me of like me watching the movie when I was a kid, so yeah, that's it. Jurassic Park soundtrack came out the same year as the movie, 93. Since we're on that field, I forgot 1987. What's up with that year? I keep forgetting things from that year. Predator soundtrack came out in 87. This is like redone a million times because apparently the original soundtrack of Predator that was really like put in the movie got like destroyed or something in like the late 80s, like after the movie was released. And these are like original tracks that were written for the movie, but they're either like recorded again or something, or I don't know. It's weird. But the originals that were like in the movie that you can see now are like missing or something. This is not the original release of the soundtrack. It's the same songs, but some other under name release. Moving on. Where was I? 93? I don't think I have anything else from that year, so I'm gonna go to 94. 94 brought one of Pantera's best albums, Far Beyond Driven. They had to remove the original album art because it was a guy getting drilled up the rear end. Anyway, it's called Far Beyond Driven. Some of the best songs on here are Strength Beyond Strength, Becoming, 5 Minutes Alone, I'm Broken, Good Friends and a Bottle of Pills. So basically if you listen to like the first 5 tracks just in a straight row, it's like the greatest time of your life. Anyway, this isn't even mine, this is my friend Brandon's, and I've had it all summer since May. And now it's September 1st, I guess. Apparently it's September. So yeah, that's Pantera, Far Beyond Driven. I don't even own it, but whatever. I don't have much after that in the 90s, I don't think. I have, where is it? I keep losing things. Alright. 1994, here's the other album that's a must-buy by Alice in Chains. It's called Jar of Flies. It's filled with like a ton of touching songs. It's very acoustic driven album, but it experiments a lot. Not their most experimental album though. That would be 85's self-titled album, which I'll just go straight into. This is Alice in Chains by Alice in Chains. It gathered the nickname Tripod because the cover has this like 3-legged dog, and apparently it's inspired by this dog that terrorized the guitar player when he was a kid in the neighborhood. Filled with like experimental songs that are like amazing. Very good album. It's one of those albums you have to get into but really like. But yeah, that's it for the 90s, I think. In 2000, I got this as a gift. It's The Very Beast of Dio. And here's some of the tracks. One of my favorite songs ever is Rainbow in the Dark. Stand Up and Shout is really rocking. Yeah, Last in Line is one of my dad's favorite songs ever. Anyway, yeah, it came out in 2000. Obviously, it's a greatest hits album, but it has a lot of good songs on there by Dio. I definitely still want Holy Diver though. That came out in '83. I have, for some reason, a ton of CDs from 2003. That seemed to be the year they were coming out with these kind of albums, greatest hits albums. Got this Johnny Cash called Icon. It has a ton of good songs on there, and this was a random buy in 2011 when I was in 7th grade. We were just at the store and I saw the Johnny Cash album, and I was to my older sister, I was like, Jamie, can we buy this? She's like, sure, I'll buy that for you. And she bought it for me, and it turned out it was one of the best buys she ever made for me, because now I love all these songs on here. Anyway, 2003 also brought another one my sister bought for me, but this one was for Christmas 2008. No, Christmas 2009, when I was in 5th grade. Michael Jackson. Oh my God, the stupid light. Number Ones. A lot of good songs by him. That's probably all I need to get by Michael Jackson, because it was a gift. How much am I going to listen to Michael Jackson? My dad also was making fun of me that day because I got a Michael Jackson album, and he was he gave me a weird look. Anyway, this came out in 1999. It's another greatest hits album. Ted Nugent, Great Gonzos. It's the best of album. This was a spontaneous buy. I didn't go to the store looking for this, but I was at the store and I was hey, look, I'll buy it because I just what the doctor ordered. I Cat Scratch Fever. I Paralyzed is good. Baby Please Don't Go, I know, by AC/DC's cover. Free for All and Dog Eat Dog are pretty good. But yeah, I get this album and then I start liking more and more Ted Nugent songs, and I his first debut album, came out in '75, called Ted Nugent by Ted Nugent. Let's see. In 2002 brought Ozzy Osbourne live at BootyCon. It has a ton of good songs on there. Ozzy sounds nuts live. Not always in a good way. Literally nuts. 2007 I can get to. Another greatest hits album. Led Zeppelin, Mothership. Pretty much everything for a music goer, like a random music goer that wants in Led Zeppelin is in this album. So I got it for Christmas. So yeah, I asked for it though. So 'Let's see. After that, I think I skipped a few years. No, I don't. Never mind. I had these two albums. 2008's Like Ice by AC/DC. Very good album with the hilarious song Anything Goes. Anyway, I have like a booklet that I like found at some just random store, and it has all these like cool pictures of the band. Also has lyrics at the end of it, like lyrics to every song in at the end of it. All these lyrics to all 15 tracks, which is a crazy amount of songs for AC/DC album. 2010, I bought Iron Man 2 soundtrack. I think a lot of people did because they were like mistaken. They thought it was Iron Man 2 the movie. Well, they were sadly mistaken. But anyway, I did buy it because I also wanted to see Iron Man 2. I saw it in theaters in 2010, but I wanted to see it on DVD, and I thought this was like a sneak peek or something in there. But I see AC/DC and I see Iron Man 2 title, so I'm like, hey, I'll buy it. So I got that in 2010. 2003, I think, brought Faceless by Godsmack, which is a really good album. Like albums like this dude's like face like smashed in or something. It's like there's no face, but it's called Faceless. Plenty of really good songs on there, and they're like in 2003 they were setting the like page for new rock, how they're supposed to look like that, like clean cut, short haired dudes. Now 2005 brought Disturbed 10,000 Fists album. This is a very good Disturbed album. This and Down with the Sickness are my two favorites. Definitely not a gigantic Disturbed fan, but yeah, there's the cover. Bunch of people like holding fists up. "10,000 Fists." Very good album. You be the judge of Disturbed, because I can't say go buy it or anything, because I'm not crazy into them. I have this album that was released in 2011. It's called Balls Out by Steel Panther. It's a awesome album. Anyway, it's not even mine, it's my friend Dylan's, but 2013 brought some sweet new albums. I wanted this for a long time, and I finally got it on my birthday this year. My friend Dom bought it for me. 13 by Black Sabbath. It's a Black Sabbath reunion, and without the drummer from the old days, but everybody else is there. It's a pretty good album. Pretty good for, it's like amazing for their ages. Ever since in Alice in Chains, Lane died in 2002, and the band was struggling for like 10 years, and they released an album in 2009 with a new singer that they brought in like 2007 or whatever. And I don't have that album. I do have the Devil Put Dinosaurs here, 2013 album. This is the second album with a new singer, and Up to Date is the only one with a new singer besides the Black Gives Way to Blue from 2009. So 2 albums, and that's it so far. This one came out in 2013. It's got a lot of good songs on it. Very, very well written with like lyrically. But yeah. The best song in here is probably Stone. That's all I'm gonna say about it before I get like hate. Alright, and then the greatest artist that I have in my entire collection is also my newest album. This is Bathroom Boys, Don't Drop the Soap. Came out September 12th, 2013, so that marks the newest of the albums. Here's the back cover. Underwear hanging off a shower handle. It's like the greatest thing on the planet. So I'd say just like forget about buying anything else in my collection. Just buy Bathroom Boys, Don't Drop the Soap. Probably the best thing there. Anyway, that's my collection. That's everything I got. So I guess I'll be talking to you later, and I hope, Ryan, I'm talking to you right now, that you watched this video. You watched all the way through. Did you? Did you? Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. That's my collection so far. And Animal Days 2 tuning out.